rat is a synonym for camper. So the rats are the people who somehow sneak in to PvP or PvE experiences. In our current capitalistic hellscape, video game development is unrecognizable from where it was 10, 20, or even 30 years ago. And yet, it remains. Indie studios are thriving, and people are choosing art and creativity over formulaic, refined slop.
The field is ripe for those studios looking to take their great ideas to the masses, but what does that mean for our Goliath IPs? What does the future of gaming look like? Time to ponder our collective orbs, my friends.
I'm so glad you read that. Welcome to Talk About Tatooine. I'm Andrew.
I'm Nathan.
And we're twin brothers here to bring you what's new in nerddom and give colorful commentary on our favorite subjects. Welcome to our cantina. Grab a drink and settle in as we set course for realities beyond our own.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 141. Today's recording date is January 21st, and this episode will be released on Monday, the 26th. Hit that like and subscribe and join the Silly Goose Brigade. Brother, I filled out the dates right this time.
No, you didn't. I fixed
No, you're
them.
kidding me. Did you really?
I fixed them while we recorded our Patreon episode. You were so quick. You're like, I'm going to pat myself on the back. It's like, the fuck you are. I did that.
I'm so sorry. I didn't do it, guys. I'm really bad at this. 141 episodes and I still haven't gotten it right.
Doesn't matter if you've been in the fandom for 10 years or 10 seconds. We're happy you're here. Nathan, hit us with your weekly reminder to read a gosh darn book.
Ladies and gentlemen, please open up your books to your nearest fantasy novel because you guys need to read a book this week, and my recommendation is going to be for everybody to get in, if you haven't already, dip your toes into the Mistborn series. I finished this for the first time ever, and it's so good. I had a lot of time over winter break to focus on reading, technically listening, while playing some Minecraft, and I listened to Mistborn. I can't read books. Like, I can't sit down and do that. I'm like, I don't have the patience or the time because I'm usually, I'm listening to books in the car while I walk my dogs, while I play Minecraft. I'm doing it all. I listened to 3 books over the course of December to now, basically. Mistborn, The Final Empire, The Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages, which I cannot recommend enough. The audiobooks are super well done. The voices are fantastic. It's so good. And if you're a fantasy lover and you don't want any smut at all, like, this is a fantastic story. And Brandon Sanderson is honestly, he's one of the best authors of our time, in my opinion.
He is. And I think a lot of people are really arriving to that conclusion kind of at the same time. To add on to yours, I love the Mistborn series and I love that particular system of magic. Brandon Sanderson has a lot of different fantasy books. They're not even all in the same world. They're all in the same universe known as the Cosmere, but they are not all in the same world. With that, though, the Mistborn series, so The Final Empire, The Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages, is a really reader-friendly place to start. Highly recommend.
I did also technically finish The Alloy of Law as well, but then Golden Sun came in, so that's going to be probably my next book recommendation once I finish it. I'm very close to finishing the second Red Rising book, Golden Sun.
Dude, yeah. Wow, those books are cooking, man. They're so good.
Oh, it's my favorite. I mean, you'll notice my tag for today's podcast is The Reaper of Mars.
Nice.
Because it just, sling blade me daddy.
Yeah, the sling blade, so cool. We were actually talking a little bit about this on our commute home, is that an iron rain is cooler than a steel rain. Like, it sounds cooler.
People just can't get enough of those drop pods coming into the atmosphere.
There is a fierce intensity in many different sci-fi universes of being captivated by the idea what if I shot a human like a bullet from a ship into the atmosphere, onto the surface of the world? They will be my orbital drop shock troopers. Yes, quite. Do you know the guy that I'm
Yes, he's the guy that does like that kind of like aristocratic,
yes,
folk, like sort of German voice. Like,
yeah, a little bit.
Yes.
It's a touch German.
Yeah, and he's just going through some just absolute like funniest things. Like he does a bit about like the Pixar moms, and he's like from the perspective of the animators. He's like, "Oh yes, what if we gave them all absolute dump truck asses?" And,
Oh my God.
and the animators are like, "Absolutely, yes, perfect, excellent." And it's just like it's that finger steepled together thing that he just does, just with the silliest things. It's so good. I need to find him and go through his archive. He's good.
He actually does one on Red Rising, and he's like, "Oh yes, Severo, he will never bathe," and I just lost it. Severo he is a stinky boy, quite.
I love Severo so much. I just got to the point where the steel rain just came down. And you've read Golden Sun, right?
Yeah, I'm on Iron Gold, which is the first book of the second trilogy.
Right. So I just got to the point where basically Darrow's dexterity stat is absolutely maxed. And that comes in handy in so far both the books that I've read. And his dexterity is he gets EMP'd while in a mechanical suit and gets stuck in what is either mud or a lake and has to cut himself out of his armor. And I literally finished that sentence and then logged on to this podcast. And I'm like, if something happens to all of these folks, I'm going to murder somebody. I'm really nervous to open that back up.
Yeah, the Iron Rains are an incredibly aggressive tactic and are not lean on personnel expenditure. I mean, they're very literally, a lot of people die. They're very literally using soldiers as bullets. And if they survive at the end, great.
Cool.
Sometimes
you can actually do your objective. Yeah, and a lot of them get blown out of the air.
Who is accompanying Darrow at this point in the story?
So he had a lot of people drop with him, but they swam through. Apparently he had some people from the Sons of Ares dig a hole for him essentially, which at this point I was like, I actually didn't really know the Sons of Ares were having any sort of activity in the Civil War, but I forgot basically the bad guys, the Bologna at this point, sounds like baloney every time. The Bologna at this point anticipate what's happening. And they get EMP'd when they come out of this hole. So they basically got a trap set for them. And it's unknown to me who's alive at this point because Darrow has only finished cutting himself out of his suit.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so I don't know who is alive right now. I am in the dark as a reader, and I don't like this feeling. It makes me feel anxious, and that's why I go through these books so quick, because I'm like, oh, I gotta appease that feeling and find out what happens next.
You gotta know what happens next. And that's probably my favorite part about Red Rising is no one feels safe. There's actually a few times in the story I'm like, is Darrow gonna die? And he gets very close. I mean, technically, he does get. He does.
He does get.
He gets hung.
He gets
hanged.
Yeah, I mean that's the beginning of his transformation. He actually kind of gets murdered multiple times.
Yeah, thankfully medical technology is like, yeah, we brought you back. You were only dead for 5 minutes, boy. Back up.
You weren't even cold yet.
On your feet. You're fine.
Please don't mention the temperature of my body in reference to me being alive or dead. Don't be weird about it, Quagmire.
But that makes probably 2 or 3 successive episodes where we've talked about Red Rising. This might turn into a Red Rising podcast.
I mean, we do love sci-fi and fantasy, so
yeah, it's right up our alley.
It's in the Venn diagram, folks. Look it up.
I even went so far last week to say that I've really enjoyed Red Rising more than most, if not all, of the Warhammer books I've ever read.
This has captivated me quite a bit.
It's good. It's really good.
And unlike the Black Library, it's actually in my library catalog.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Again, our
Screw
weekly
you, Games Workshop.
Yeah, Games Workshop can go jump off a cliff. What was I was talking to my wife because she actually also read Red Rising. She is not a person who likes violent literature, so it was amazing that she got through it all. Because the underpinnings of the story are interesting because you see Darrow, who is like furious at the world in book 1, and he ends up like almost like begrudgingly making real relationships with the Golds, with some of the Golds at the Institute, and which was weird at first because like when he allies with Severo, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? These are the enemy, and then he kind of figures out that like they're not all bad. Like some of them end up joining his cause purely because it's just the right thing to do. And he's like, I'm going to burn this whole thing down. And they're like, torches up, homie. Let's do this.
What's up, brother? No war but class war, am I right?
It ain't no war but class war. That is the goddamn truth. We're actually not here to talk about Red Rising for
11 minutes in. We're going to talk about Arc Raiders today.
We're going to be talking about Arc Raiders, the indie game that is sweeping Steam right now. It is the only thing on my YouTube feed. So we're going to talk a little bit about our experience playing Arc Raiders. We're going to be talking about how it came to be, what it was meant to be, where they kind of started from, where they are now. And we're just going to kind of free willy it. First off, how many hours do you have loaded into the game? I'll let you open your Steam account.
Oh my God. Hold on, folks.
Because I just checked mine. I am over 100 hours on this game. Pretty fair to say that I absolutely love this game. I just got, what was the blueprint I got? I got the Wolf Pack. And I got the complex gun parts, so I can literally make legendary weapons anytime I want.
Brother, I want you to guess how many hours I have played on this, and I'll give you 3 guesses, and I'll let you figure it out by giving you hotter or colder, or higher
hours.
or lower. Excuse me.
20 hours.
Higher.
30 hours.
Lower.
27 and a half hours.
24 hours.
Nice. I mean, that's a good amount to play a game.
Full day on the game.
Full day. You got a lot done.
Cannot believe I have that much time logged in that game. That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me.
I'm not going to say who, but I was gooping. I was gooping with one of the guys in our Patreon server because literally everyone bought it within like the course of a week. I was so happy because I had this game for like over a month and I'm like, no one's here to play with me. But one of the guys, and I've just been like chucking blueprints. Anytime I go into a raid, I'm like, here, what's in your safe pocket? Well, now it's a blueprint. Just trying to just throw out as many blueprints as I can. And I love that. It's one of my favorite things about this game is being nice to players. It's so fun. It brings me so much personal joy to be a good person in this game. It's so awesome. But one of the guys I was gooping with and I was raiding with, he was like, yeah, dude, I just hit like 60,000 space credits and I didn't say anything. How many space dollars or whatever the currency is called, how many do you think is in my account? We'll play higher or lower.
Well, I know it's going to be higher than 81,000 because that's the highest I think I have peaked out at. And I'm like, he's way richer than I am. So I'm going to say a 114,000 as my first number.
Higher.
175,000.
You know what? I'm going to let you redo that second guess. You're not even close.
400,000?
Higher.
625,000.
Okay, how many guesses do you want? This is going to take a while.
Do you have over 1 million?
I have 2 million.
What? These weapons are only worth 1,000 credit or a couple thousand credits each, dude. What are you doing?
No, dude, a fully upgraded weapon is worth like 20,000 credits, and I've learned what is valuable and what is not. I know what to craft that I can immediately like turn a profit for. And there's honest to goodness, I clear out my inventory pretty often. I like try to like upcycle everything and I sell and I sell and I sell, dude. Oh man. Like here's the thing is like a really, really good raid. We're talking night raid going in with a epic key. You can expect, if you know exactly where to look, to come out with $100,000 of loot. If you know what to look for.
Brother, we aren't even playing the same game.
I'm so sorry. Dude, literally the other day, so I just got the crafting recipe for energy ammo. I think you get it when you either craft the equalizer or the Aphelion. It just lets you craft it. And I had actually been sitting on the advanced arc power supplies and batteries because I knew that's what the recipe was. And I knew that this type of ammo was really expensive. Normally, ammo is not profitable to sell. I mostly just sell ammo so I have more room in my inventory. And I literally was able to just out of nowhere craft $90,000 worth of energy ammo. And I just sold it. I just sold it right there. I'm
disgusted.
done bragging.
God damn it. How many hours in the game do you have?
I have 100. I have 100 hours.
This is exactly what happened in Helldivers. You guys are like, yeah, this game's like pretty wicked fun. I'm like, me getting like literally a quarter of the hours in. And you guys are like, yeah, I've pretty much like maxed everything out. And I'm like, I still don't understand the basic fundamentals of the game though, but that's fine. That's cool. I'm just over here trying to be a good human and husband over here. Not saying you're a bad human or husband. That was not what I was getting at.
No,
but
I know.
I'm like struggling to be a normal adult, and I'm like, how are you guys doing this? What is going on? I
see certain people in our friend group who I know have more free time than others. Again, it's not a personal judgment one way or the other. I just know who has different obligations one way or the other. And I see how close some of them are getting to where I'm at. And I'm like, oh, they are going to overtake me. The thing is, in our group, I had a massive head start, months head start. And like to say that like you've played the game for a relatively short amount of time and you have a lot of playtime. Given that, I think if we had been playing for the same like many months, I think you would be way, way ahead of me. So far ahead. Because I think in a shorter amount of time, you've logged more hours like per day or whatever, or per weekend, however you want to measure it. Like I'm only at 100. I'm only at 100. And I've had it way longer. Like I remember the last expedition.
I don't even know what the expeditions are.
Okay, so the expedition, you go to your Raider tab and there's a little I want to say it's like a triangle. It's called a project. You go to the project and there's one called the expedition. There's also a seasonal event that just ended, but there's one that stays there all the time and it's called the expedition. And each phase asks you to pick up certain loot to donate to the expedition. So like sometimes you're looking for like humidifiers is one of them towards the end. They're kind of hard to find. That's why that one sticks in my head. But you donate these different like themed items to the expedition. And then you get to the point where I want to say it's like step 5 of 6. You have to donate almost like $1 million worth of gear into the expedition, like a certain amount of firearms, a certain amount of heals, a certain amount of crafting materials, things like that. So if you were to just like control A in your inventory, you'd probably be close to $1 million straight up.
I do have a pretty like full inventory almost all the time. And that's with like selling full stacks of stuff pretty often.
Yeah. And then, so once you get through that phase, which by the time you get to that phase, I know you personally, you'll be able to do it just fine because you're probably just as much of a hoarder as I am. I was able to complete it within like stage 5 within a day. Stage 4 was the hard one. But stage 6 or like when the expedition actually opens, what happens is you are able to donate a certain amount of just straight cash to the expedition. And if you can get up to, so it's increments of $1 million space dollars for each of the things. And I want to say that for every $1 million you donate, up to 5 million, you get an extra inventory space when you reset your account with the expedition. And that's what it is. It's the prestige.
Like inventory in your character's inventory.
Permanent inventory space. Yeah, right? It's good. I'm like, yeah, that's really good.
That was really nice.
So that's why I like really push, like I don't play damn Battlegrounds hardly at all unless there's an event going on or I have a quest because it takes so long to get to all the different points. If you want to get rich fast, go to Stellamontis. Like it's
the place to be.
It's the place. You get so rich so fast. And because of the matchmaking, it can really benefit you. Can you talk a little bit about what makes the Arc Raiders matchmaking so special?
So one thing that this game brings me back into is that this game matchmakes you based on behavior, and it matchmakes you based on how well you rate your rounds when given the opportunity. So, for example, Andrew, me and you are not PvP players. We are PvE players. That is a style of gameplay that we like to play. This game opens up the option to do both in the same servers without like selecting a different mode, because your rats are going to be over in one game space. Those are the people who are your PvP players. Do we have a name as those who just fight robots and help others?
Normal human beings. I don't think there actually is a name for it.
We should come up with one and start marketing it.
We really should.
Because there's like clans and teams like developing themselves. Like Burnt Peanut is like a fantastic streamer. He's a rat. He plays mostly PvP and loots people.
Dude,
and again, that's not like an insulting. Like we call people in the game who fight other people for their loot. They're just called rats. It's not like
so. I actually want to
rat.
clarify. Rat is a synonym for camper. So the rats are the people who somehow sneak in to PvP or PvE experiences, and they'll camp extract. They will camp like the matriarch or the queen. They'll wait for people to loot, and then they'll just kill those people and take their stuff. Actual PvP,
that's way worse.
It is way worse. That's why they call them rats.
Those people suck.
So, and I actually kind of said, I was like, oh, Peanut is like a little bit of a rat. He kind of is. He's a little bit of a douche, but it's funny. But like, he's genuinely just a straight PvP player. If he sees someone, he engages. He doesn't do a lot of like the camping. He just engages. So that's different from being a rat.
He also provides us with a glorious amount of entertainment because he's a hilarious guy.
Very funny.
Like
he's very funny.
He just does the greatest things. But the game essentially matchmakes you with people who play the same way. The way that I've been approaching my games is that I've been going out and I go towards gunfire. I love fighting the robots. I think that's like the most fun thing possible.
It's so fun.
I get my ass kicked every time a Rocketeer shows up, and I don't care because I'm like, if I can help another Raider get their loot and get those kills, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's a different level of satisfaction to see somebody who's kind of getting bodied by like one of the higher difficulty arcs and to like come to the rescue and like help them out. Or there's a certain amount of joy I get where even if I'm playing single player raids, I will bring defibrillators because when I see people go down, I will just rush straight for them. It's almost like the combat medic mentality of you're like, I'm going to put myself in harm's way for a stranger because that is how I enjoy the game.
And you know they're going to be stoked about it because they're like, oh, this is stupid. I got downed by this stupid robot. And then they're all of a sudden, you're like, hey, don't worry, bro. I got you. And they're like, what?
Dude, it makes their
It's
day.
so much fun.
It's dopamine through the roof when that happens. I'm like, this is amazing.
Dude, I found a guy carrying a field crate the other day, and I came up to him and like pulled my microphone out, and he's like, "Hey, don't kill me," because he's holding the field crate. Like I could have just murked him, and I brought my mic on, and I was like, "Hey, are you looking for the field depot?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can't really find it." And I was like, "Cool, follow me. I know where it is." And I led him over there, and I like basically was like, "Hey, man, here's the field depot. I'm gonna let you deposit it. I'm gonna run away. Like I'm not trying to camp you and like kill you. I'm just gonna leave." He found me later in the round and he like gave me a bunch of grenades.
Nice.
He was like, "Hey man, you're the guy that like helped me find the field depot, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, what's up?" I was like, "I think that's me. Like, I don't know. I didn't look at your username." And he's like, "Oh, here." And he gave me like 3 secret grenades, which I use all the time. And I was like,
They're
"Oh,
really
thanks, dude." I was like, "I love these. Like, you didn't need to do that. Like, that was your loot. Like, you found it." So, but yeah, it was just like cool stuff. I fought my way into a subway the other day, just like trying to help out like a bunch of randos. None of us are on the same team. And I'm like, "Hey, let's go extract. There's like a bunch of bots down here. Let's take them through together." And we extracted perfectly fine. It was great. Killed a bunch of bots on the way out.
And that's kind of something that's like almost like the magic. It's like the secret sauce of Arc Raiders, which it's a PvPvE game. And there's actually a developer interview, which I actually reposted on our Instagram and I put it on our story today, the 21st. So it might not be there by the time our final episode comes out, but the developers have even said this is not primarily a PvP game. The PvP aspect is there to create tension, not the actual driving force of the game. You are actually meant to work together and fight the rise of the machines and these AI, these clankers, and that's what you're supposed to do. Like, that is straight from the developer's mouth. And hopefully, like, when we eventually put this in short format, we'll just like nab that audio and put it in for you guys. So make sure you're following all our socials. But, and that's the thing, is like, it's so much more fun to be PvE and like team up with complete strangers. It is a glorious experience. And it feels really bad when you're trying to do something like the Matriarch event and there are people who are just ratting on you. Because like when you're fighting the Matriarch, you just hold up in one spot. You don't really, so you lose all your mobility because you're just like, I'm going to hunker down, I'm going to turtle, and I am going to use a small fortune's worth of explosives to take down this walker. Like, and people are like, well, I would like that fortune, so I'm going to kill you and take it. Those people, I have cussed out more people in Arc Raiders than I have ever playing Call of Duty, because I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, I am specifically, when people shoot at me in especially PV or in my lobbies and single player lobbies, I don't shoot back because I'm like, no, I am not going to ruin my matchmaking criteria because you got selfish. I will try to escape. I'll try to talk them out of it. And sometimes I've been successful, but sometimes they just gun me down. And I just like, I just let them have it. I just let them have it. I was like, you're a terrible person, X, Y, and Z. Go put X object into X hole in your body. Get out of here. Like, I just let them have it. I don't let them get a word in edgewise. I'm like, dude, you suck. Because I'm like, it's terrible person behavior, right? Oh, man.
Yeah, no rats allowed.
Yeah, no rats allowed. They're the worst people. And I mean, this game is almost putting a mirror up to humanity because it is showing us what is great about humankind and how great we can be together. And it also is showing that, like, hey, sometimes it's going to look pretty ugly because some of you suck. Like, some of you are so self-centered that you would rather rip the joy away from other people than just like try to find joy in a normal way not at the expense of other people, which kind of brings me to one of my points. I actually hope Embark, the studio who develops and makes this game, I hope they are working on some changes to matchmaking. Something I would like to see is an actual button that flips from PvE to PvP to say like, hey, I'm actually trying to do PvE, but you keep matching me in PvP lobbies, like player versus player lobbies. And especially if I'm with a squad, I don't take the same strategy when I'm in a squad as when I'm by myself. When I'm by myself, I don't really care if I get downed. Like, I'm not like, I can be a pacifist and it's not going to bother me. When it's my friends who have a lower account and all the gear they brought in is precious to them, I'm going to fight like hell.
Oh my God. It's like everything I own.
Yeah. It's like, dude, I could literally liquidate my entire inventory and I would be back to where I was in a couple rounds. I'm at the point in the game where it means nothing to me what I bring in. And I try to share that as much as I possibly can with my teammates. Like, if we're going, we call it big game hunting, right? So if we're going in and we're going after the biggest arcs, the matriarchs, the rocketeers, the bombardiers, like, I'll bring in 6 wolf packs and I'm like, all right, here's some wolf packs, here's some grenades, here's some heals.
What a crazy flex.
Whatever. That also helps because one of our guys gave me the wolf pack blueprint. It was one of the only like purple items that I didn't have. And he's like, hey, you've given me a lot of blueprints. Would you like this? And I went, yes, please. Please and thank you.
Right away. And it's up in my butt.
In my safe pocket. Dude, the memes around Arc Raiders have been so good.
Honestly, the entire community's been fun. And I feel like other than like when you're playing with teams, because the dynamic changes, and I believe the matchmaking changes as well. Like if you're playing squads, you're probably going to run into more hostile teams.
We
We have had the good opportunity of running into a lot of people who are like, yo, what's up? We're just trying to loot. And we're like, yay, what's up? We're also trying to loot. And we just all like kind of team up and we're like, hey, we're going to go over here and we're going to do this thing. If you guys need help killing any arc, like let us know, because death to clankers. So yeah, it's been great.
To clankers. And that very much was the understanding. If you came in with people, is like, if you play this game in a squad, you are in a multiplayer player versus player lobby. You just have to understand that. But now that people know that your matchmake based on your behavior, that is starting to change, and it's starting to change fast, because now we, like you said, we're actually finding squads of players who are friendly. And I will actually ask the group, whichever group that I'm playing with, and I will say, are we shooting first or are we asking questions first? Like, are we going to extend the olive branch, or are we just going to start throwing lead downfield? And for the most part, the group of guys that we have played with, which is more than 2, it's been actually quite a few guys, almost our entire Patreon server at this point, almost everyone has said, we would prefer peace over just immediate violence, right? And I think that's actually, I would say, the majority of the community, at least based on our extrapolating our small sample size. It seems like people prefer peace with humans. Just my 2 cents.
I would have to agree.
In cinema news, Netflix has made a bid to buy Warner Brothers Studios for $83 billion. This was widely covered by the media by a multitude of outlets. As a channel that covers pop culture media, this is a huge deal for us, and we think it should be for you as well. In fact, more than 900 articles were published on this, and coverage is mainly coming from the center. I know this because I'm reading it on Ground News, an app and website that combines news from around the world and in one place, so you can compare coverage and verify information. You can check it out at the QR code on screen and the link in the description. Let's look closer at this story from Richmond Times-Dispatch. This outlet, owned by Lee Enterprises, is a straightforward take and to the point related to the deal itself, with very minimal commentary about this merger. Meanwhile, this article from Newser still sports a high factuality rating, but provides commentary on the deal, as the general concern seems to be the case of antitrust and its impact on Hollywood and movies going forward. A less sensational article from PBS NewsHour also provides commentary on the deal, without phrasing that might elicit a strong emotional response from the reader before they read the facts for themselves. See how a simple word or phrase can change the narrative and easily sway public opinion? While both articles are considered highly factual by the crack team over at Ground News, one article paints things as business as usual, while the other pushes the reader to have a sense of urgency. These are the blind spots that we would encounter as most folks passively surf the web, but with Ground News, readers can get a better idea of the whole story. As average cinema enjoyers, we sought out Ground News as our affiliates because their mission strongly aligns with our core values and are helping combating the spread of misinformation. As Mon Mothma once said, the death of truth is the ultimate victory of evil, and it starts by identifying what's true, what's half true, and outright false. Check out our link in the description or the QR code on screen and subscribe through that link to get 40% off the Vantage plan. This is the plan that we use to get our unlimited access to every feature. Your subscription not only helps our channel, it also supports Ground News as they make the media landscape more transparent. I love coffee. A lot. That's why we have decided to partner with Javi as our first advertiser. Javi is a series of coffee products, including coffee concentrate, which we have personally both tasted and enjoyed. I find simple comfort in the original coffee concentrate that I mix with almond milk and brown sugar to make a rich iced tea that feels perfect for the spring and summer weather. The mocha concentrate is an easy recommendation, as coffee and chocolate are the perfect pair. These small bottles are good for dozens of servings, or if you're a real caffeine fiend, less. Mix it hot or cold. Either works if you're looking for a quick and delicious way to keep that sweet bean dream marching forward. Shoppers who use our link in the description get a discount on their order and directly supports this podcast. You must use the link. Elevate your coffee today with Javi. Follow the link on screen and in the description and ride that dopamine train straight to Beantown. Can we say that? Yeah, of course we can. That's code TALKABOUT-T97755. Or follow the link on screen or in the description. Now, back to the show.
I did enjoy the last round. I felt bad because our buddy died in the last round, and I did pick up a lot of his weapons, which I'm going to give back to him, which I think he's also way more rich in the game than I am. So he was like, whatever the gear. I'm like, what do you mean, whatever the gear? This 2 or 3 items I picked up is worth more than my entire stash. So I'm like, first of all, that's crazy. But we ran into a squad. He got downed because we had kind of separated a little bit, and I'm playing like in the middle. So I like ran down towards you and helped out with one of the guys, and then he started getting fired on, and I was like, shoot. So I'm running over to him, trying to help out. He gets downed, eventually gets killed. I murk the guy that got him. Felt really good about that. I was like, you killed my friend, now I'm going to murder you and all of your friends, so here we go. So you can kind of see how the violence gets out of control a little bit. And I got back onto the train, and I was like, hey, let me loot our friend's body really quick so I can at least take his guns, his really important purple items, and at least try to extract with them. And we were kind of like trying to hurry. It was a small map. There was a lot of gunfire. Like the rats were coming out of the walls at this point. So you're like, hey man, like, hurry the F up. Like, let's go. And somebody
I'm starting to remember which round this was. It was Stella, right?
Yeah, it was Stella Montes. And somebody comes up on the speaker. So I'm not paying attention to any of these guys' names at this point. We down these guys. I'm like, okay, their team of 3 is down. We're good. I loot him. Somebody starts coming down the stairs, but they're downed. So they're crawling towards us. And I was like, oh, hey, let me go res this guy really quick so he can extract with us. And like through gritted teeth, you were like, he's one of the ones that tried to kill us. And I went, oh, and I pulled out my weapon with almost no hesitation and ganked him in the head and executed him and then walked back to the train. And at this point, like, I didn't say anything, but like our buddy saw it and he was like, no way, you did that so fast. And I was like, hey man, you got it. When you turn on a dime, you got to make that choice right away.
Well, and like, I was freaking out a little bit because I heard other teams approaching, and and it was a night raid on Stella Montes. Yeah. So the loot is just, the goop is uncontrollable.
So much goop. There's goop on the walls.
There's goop on the walls. And like, so I hear these other teams that are fighting and making their way down towards us as we're trying to extract. The lights are going off. I'm like, dude, just murder him and let's go. We tried peace. We tried to be peaceful. And they didn't. They said no. And so it's like, after that, no mercy. No mercy. You're done. And I'm a little guilty of giving players probably too much leeway, because we had another instance where we were holed up in the Buried City Town Hall on a night raid, which is a room that you need an epic key to access. And there was this guy who like kept trying to come in the front door. And I literally talked to him for like almost 2 minutes. I was like, hey dude, don't come in here. And he kept like opening the door. And at some point he just started throwing grenades in the door. And I was like, all right, peacetime's over. I should have killed him way sooner. But I was like, I don't want to affect my matchmaking. I want to be in these peaceful lobbies so I can mind my own business, fight the Ark, and not have to fight the people. And for the most part, I wait until they fire first. And then I'm like, all right, well, peace is done. This is going to ruin my matchmaking. I do have a tip for that. If you get stuck in a loop where you want to play PvE and you keep getting matched into really violent lobbies, select a free loadout. Go in and just sacrifice yourself. Loot a little bit, try to extract, but be quick. Like, don't spend a ton of time trying to gather a lot of really good stuff. Just go in and post a 0 on damage to other players. That is what's important. And I have found that if you can do that 3 times, it will reset your algorithm.
Nice. I like that.
Just a little tip for you guys out there who, are tired of the rats. And dude, sometimes I'm like, man, I hope there's a hell, because you rats are really irking me. Like, and it's the thing of like, it's like, I just worked a 12-hour shift at the ball crushing factory and I just want to come home and play my video game and you ruin it for me.
And then I got diddled by the sweatiest 12-year-old in this side of the Mississippi. And you're like, no, I just wanted to have fun. I worked 9 to 10 hours today. Let me go home and loot some goop.
Ark Raiders has been called a game that has been specifically designed for people who work full-time jobs. What is your opinion on that?
100% agree. I can get in a few rounds. I can make them as short or as long as I want most of the time. And I can do pretty well. It's the times where I get stuck behind Rocketeers that I'm kind of like, man. But I haven't gotten killed by like a random PvP player in a long time playing solo. So for me, it works out really well because, again, I'm here to kill clankers. And that's it. I'm like, I want to loot and I do genuinely want to shoot stuff, but I want to shoot at clankers, not people.
Yeah, and the progression system is such a way to where like PvP is not part of the progression. You probably could complete the entire expedition without firing a single shot at a human being. Right?
100%, yeah. Like when I'm in Stella Montis, which is, again, the more better the loot is, the more better. The better the loot is, the more aggressive the players tend to be. I am usually going out and like being like, hey, I see you. I'm friendly, don't shoot. And I'm going to be like, hey, you have a shredder in here. I'm going to go distract it from this side. You shoot it from the other. We'll take it out really quick. Bingo, bango. And then I'll just be like, hey, you can have the shredder parts. Like, go nuts. And then that person, they're not going to shoot you the rest of the time. You just made an ally, and they're like, hey, if you need, there's a good chance that you'll end up extracting with that person.
Dude, half the time that person's like, I will die for you now. You're like,
you are my Reaper.
It's like, do you guys see how much a little goodwill like gets you? They're like, Hail Reaper. It's exactly it.
It's so good.
They're like, just call me your unwashed gremlin. I am the Severo to your Darrow.
Is this the point where we howl into our microphones? Does anybody have a dead cow really quick asking for a friend?
Does anyone have a dead animal that I can hide inside?
I would like to emerge like a gremlin and menace my enemies. Ah, yes.
They will feel me by my howl.
They'll smell me before they see me.
So, one of the things I wanted to talk about is the actual design of arc raiders is not meant to be PvP. And we've heard this explicitly from the developers, but we can also tell from the actual design of the game that it is not a competitive shooter. And the big kind of obvious giveaway is that it's a third person shooter.
Well, and it has raid bosses.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if competitive shooters are almost exclusively first person, because the whole like being able to look around the corner without looking around the corner is a little bit cheaty. And most people who are like professional shooters, they will not do third person. It's the same. It's honestly why Battlefront was so fun, because like it doesn't feel like a competitive shooter, but it also sort of was at the same time. But it also
had options.
You had options, and it was more about the grand scale of like being in the Clone Wars or fighting the Empire and being a clone commando. I loved the commando, and being able to like fight your way through a separatist cruiser and blow it up from the inside. Like, there's nothing better than that. And we've talked a little bit about it before, but like there's a lot of shared DNA between Battlefront, Battlefield, and Embark, because quite a few of them were former DICE employees. Like, I think the roll animation where your character, does the diving roll is the exact same as Battlefront. And that makes me so happy.
That tracks. Like, hey man, don't fix it. We actually already have the file for this and the mocap for this, so we're just gonna reskin it and call it good. And everyone was like, yeah, why do all the extra work on a mechanic that isn't broken?
One of the things they talk about, there's actually a series on YouTube called like The Making of Arc Raiders. It's put out by Arc Raiders, the actual development studio, and their official channel. And what they talk about a lot in their development process, because if you guys don't know, developing a video game takes years on years on years. So they like thought of this idea a really long time ago, but because it takes so long, the idea you start with is not the idea you end with. So what Embark did is they stuck by a simple model, and they asked, is it fun? Anytime they would get to a certain milestone in the game, they would play test it, and they would just ask themselves, is this fun? And is it repeatably fun? Is it fun every time? And this actually changed the way the game was originally developed. It started out as it was going to be a player versus enemy game exclusively, and it was going to be free to play. How would this game look different if it was a free to play? Like, how does that affect like progression, all that stuff?
If this was a free-to-play game, there would be more pay-to-win aspects of it. So the fact that there's a $40 buy-in means that like the money aspects go towards cosmetics, which I'm okay with, rather than just being like, hey man, you can just buy your way to the best gear. Like, if I'm not mistaken, there's not a way to just buy yourself all of the best gear on day one.
Correct. And so with that, the progression also, because it's a paid game, you can actually progress through the game pretty quick. Like you've yourself have unlocked like a lot of blueprints and all this stuff. And for the most part, you're going out and you're finding the loot as opposed to grinding for the loot. It's not so much of a grind. It is a little bit because you have to, if you don't know where you're looking, you're going to be looking in the wrong spots for the most part.
Oh yeah, but 100%. I've usually got a Google page opened up on my other monitor that's like, hey, what are the most common places to find olives? And they're like, oh, on these maps in these areas, there's one map that has an olive grove, and I didn't know that. And it was like, oh, so I'm thankful I Googled it, because now it just tells me like, oh, go to the olive grove, and I'm like, huh, that does feel like a good place to find olives. Like, cool, thanks for that. And it saves me a lot of time.
Yeah, and things like that, you can actually progress very quickly, especially if you look up where stuff is. That has saved me so much time. There's actually a website, and again, they're not a sponsor, but there's a website called MetaForge where they actually have like interactive maps where you can pull it up, and you can, if you're looking for a specific thing, it will tell you where that thing has a possibility of spawning on the map. First wave arc or raider caches is a big one. You can get a lot of blueprints from raider caches. So if you're doing the uncovered cache event, open up the map, see where the raider caches spawn, bring a bunch of drugs, adrenaline, and just like do a circle on the outside of the map. Dude, literally such a vibe. It's way more peaceful. You don't go into the center of the map where it's really dangerous, and it's so fun. You're like, it's such a distilled amount of goopage. One thing I kind of wanted to point out that I've heard from some like Twitch streamers that I've followed who play this game and honestly are exploding because of Arc Raiders. Some of them have said, who've gotten kind of upset with the developers. They're upset with the developers because there's like a few bugs in the game, and they're like, oh, this bug is unacceptable. It's been in there for months now, and they're like, they haven't dealt with it. May I just remind, Embark is an indie studio. This is an indie game. It is an extremely small group of people for a game development standpoint that is making this game and making it live service. And so when there are certain things in the game that are not game breaking, which I actually think this specific creator was being hyperbolic, they'll be like, oh, it's unacceptable that this hasn't been fixed. And be like, dude, shut up. Man, they have bigger fish to fry, and by your own admission, this game is super fun. And the only reason you probably even know about these bugs is because you've put 1,000 hours into the game already. Like, come on, have like just a little bit of like self-awareness and understand that like smaller studios have less bandwidth to deal with stuff that just doesn't matter as much.
Well, and keep in mind, it is really important to know that this is an indie studio I was Googling some things trying to find out. According to their Wikipedia page, Arc Raiders has sold over 12 million copies worldwide.
I think the last I heard was 14 million, but still 14 million. That's a crazy amount for being out less than a year.
Yeah, that is as of January 2026, so just the beginning of this month. As of 3 days ago, the Arc Raiders train with the game selling 12 million copies overall. Apparently, they sold 250,000 copies on Boxing Day alone, which is a Canadian holiday, I think. And they sourced like $1.6 billion, which is a crazy amount of money. Yeah.
Because, I mean, they like a lot of that goes... Because you have to remember, the payday for developing a game doesn't come until the very end. So they have to front load a lot of their costs. They have to get investors, potentially take out loans to pay their employees. Like, they don't make revenue until the game is finished, and it takes years. Can you imagine running a business and literally not making a single dime for years on end? That is commitment. That is like,
And then you suddenly make $500 million. So I actually don't know where they got the 1.6 billion number. That's probably from like cosmetic sales. Because if you take the number of copies they've sold, sell it by the $40 price tag, it's $500 million, which is a huge amount of money.
It's a lot of money. It starts going pretty quick though when you start thinking about employee salaries and overhead and things like that, and then paying off interest on any business loans that you've had to take. Not to mention that like developer, like imagine having to buy a $6,000 PC for every single employee.
And games usually take multiple years of development, and you have a staff of like, let's say 50 people. So like, yeah, you can see where this money goes away pretty quickly. But like, again, when you hit $500 million, you know they have a little bit extra in the bank right now.
Yeah, they're doing probably very well for themselves. And I'm very happy because that means we're going to get a better product at the end of the day. Yeah. And that is the capitalistic cycle that works, is when people give a value or make a product that is valuable to the customers love, and it makes everyone's life better. That's how capitalism is supposed to function. Not this like, oh, like, welcome, here's Fortnite and everything is really grindy. And, but if you want to stay in like the zeitgeist to be cool, you have to like buy all the skins. I don't know. I just really don't like Fortnite. I know some people do. I should be nicer, but I just don't feel like it.
I was going to say Fortnite is probably one of the most popular games ever. So easy now, brother. Don't get them mad at us. We would like them to be watching and subscribing to our podcast.
I will say a legitimate criticism I have for Epic Games, the studio that makes Fortnite. Again, Epic Games is a massive studio. They're the exact opposite of an indie company. They run their employees ragged, and I hate that. There's not a game developers union, so they work really long hours to make all this content that people enjoy for free. And like, while I'm happy I'm happy that so many people get to play a game that they legitimately have so much fun on and didn't have to pay anything for it. I think that's great. The game itself, I'm not a fan of. It just doesn't tickle that itch for me.
Yeah, that's fair. For context here, guys, Fortnite has earned over $24 billion in total revenue by the year 2022. So not even including the last 3 years of revenue. Whoa. And they figure that they make between $4 and $6 billion per year. So they're making a lot of money. So that means by the time this came out, they're probably at 36. They're probably at like $42 billion in revenue on the higher end of that scale. The fact that they don't like their employees and their developers should be annoyingly wealthy, but that like these people are not being compensated. Right. Like they're probably being compensated well, but like for the amount of work that they put in and the amount of sacrifice that they make for these deals in these games, I don't think they're getting paid enough because, yeah, they don't have a union. They don't have anybody sticking up for them because they know that they're like, hey, man, if you don't like it, we'll just fire you and hire somebody else who really wants to be on a AAA game, one of the highest grossing games of all time, and they have that power. I'll say it again, no war but class war. What?
You're not wrong. Brother, we've been talking about arc raiders for a really long time. We actually were going to talk about Kathleen Kennedy, which is big news in Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy is no longer the head of the Star Wars group. That is now Dave Filoni. I think we mentioned it last week, and honestly, we'll probably talk about it again next week. I want to talk about it a lot because there's definitely
some much time, though.
Yeah, there's definitely some discourse going around in Star Wars that I think is worth addressing. Some legitimate criticisms of Kathleen Kennedy and some not so legitimate criticisms. So we'll talk about that probably next episode. I think we're just going to Hail Mary that to the next one. But we do want to do our lore, or we do want to do our
legends, lore or legends.
Thank you for saying it. I can't talk. Lore or legends. So our little game of two truths and a lie.
Brother, can you update me with the current score? It's 4-0 versus 3-1, right?
That is correct. I'm at 4-0. You're at 3-1.
I got some really good references for you on this next one, so I think you're really going to like that. Okay, hit me with your first one, whichever question you think is going to be a little bit more difficult today.
I think you're really going to find this difficult. This is going to be a full Star Wars lore or legends question, and it is the category is stupid names, courtesy of Battle Scars / Jedi Survivor. So it is going to be things that I think have dumb names from that series. Are you ready? 2 truths and a lie.
As ready as I'm ever going to be.
All right, the first one. The droid bounty hunter known as Blorp often pairs with the Haxian brood during the Imperial era and even encountered the crew of the Stinger Mantis during their time between games. That is his name, Blorp. All right, second one. The Mantis captain, Grease, introduces the reader to a skizump, which is a fuzzy little creature native to Lateron whose stomach ferments everything they consume and therefore wander around just a little bit blitzed all the time. A skizump. The third one.
You're a monster.
The snake-like creature native to Bogano, the Ogdo Bogdo, is a dangerous foe that Cal Kestis encounters on his travels.
Shut up. What? Ogdo Bogdo.
These are real Star Wars names. Okay, so
I know they are.
We have Blorp, the droid bounty hunter, who is paired with the Haxian brood. We have the skizump that ferments everything it eats and drinks. And the third one, the snake-like creature called the Ogdo Bogdo that Cal Kestis encounters on his travels.
I'm going to go. So, oh, dude, this is hard because these are all this is nonsense.
It's literally nonsense words
that you've sent me. This is just I'm trying to pick apart which parts of these are not true. And I'm like, it's all gobbledygook. So
I can give you a hint. I feel like this one is pretty hard. I'll give you a hint. The thing that is wrong with this is not specifically their name. And I also picked something that I think you would have the most familiarity with.
Which in this case is 0. So for that reason alone, and I like this answer because I think it's the most interesting item you posted, therefore I think it's the fiction or the legend, is item number 2, your Otto Brewer's syndrome rat thingy or whatever it is. I think that's the legend here.
That is incorrect.
I figured it would be.
The correct answer is the Ogdo Bogdo, which is actually a giant frog-like creature, not a snake-like creature.
If I could throw something at you right now, I would.
That's fair.
I'll update my score.
So
right, because I'm a huge... Yeah, go ahead.
The other 2 names in there are from the book. The Ogdo Bogdo is the only one out of those things that you actually encounter in the game. That's why I felt like you probably knew it.
I've played so little of both of those games that once you started making Cal Kestis references, I was like, oh, he's got me cooked. I'm dead to rights on this.
Ruthless Night Sister probably would have got that one.
Well, yeah, because she is a professional.
She's a professional, yes. I'm pretty sure she completed both games on Grandmaster, and I'm like wandering around on Padawan, like, don't touch me.
That's wild.
Wee woo.
Well, my theme is a little bit more professional than yours. Today's theme for my only question, I'm sorry, readers and listeners, that I'm such a disappointment to you all, and I didn't have 2 of these ready because my inability to read has struck me down. Today's theme is projectiles. Item number 1. In Mass Effect, projectiles like the one that come out of the standard issue M8 Avenger are shaved off from a block of metal and are accelerated out of the weapon at supersonic speeds using a Mass Effect field. Each of these blocks can hold dozens of rounds inside a single weapon, functionally eliminating the need to frequently reload the weapon. Item number 2. In Warhammer 40,000, rounds shot from a bolter are less like bullets and more like explosive gyrojets that react upon impact with a target, detonating slightly after entering the target for maximum devastation. Item number 3. Grab your ibuprofen for this one. In Stargate SG-1, the Matok staff used by Jaffa warriors that fires plasma bolts derived from a liquid Naquita power cell. These plasma bolts are lethal upon hitting human targets and can even cause catastrophic damage to Jaffa warrior armor.
So I think all of those have at least an element of truth with them. The third one, I haven't watched Stargate SG-1 in over a decade, but I do know that anytime anyone gets shot with one of those staffs, they typically die. Almost always. Let's see. The second one, the bolter, the only thing I think is wrong with that is like it's called a gyrojet. I don't know too much about that. It's essentially a rocket propelled bullet that explodes on contact.
That was the intent with using the word gyrojet.
Yeah, it's a mass reactive bullet. But I think the thing that you said about the Mass Effect clip, all of that is true. However, in the first game, your gun operates off of essentially a heat buildup, and then you have to wait for it to cool back down. Whereas in the second and third games, you actually eject the heat sink from the weapon, essentially creating a reload function from a clip that technically doesn't deplete. You don't deplete the ammo, you deplete the heat sinks available to go into the weapon, so therefore it's number one.
You're right, but you're wrong. So yes, the heat sinks themselves are absolutely a reload mechanism that was built in functionally to the second Mass Effect game, but in the lore of how they work in the books, right, because they needed to add that in for the game. So in the books, the problem here was actually an order of magnitude problem, not a mechanism problem. So I said that each of these blocks can hold dozens of rounds inside a single weapon.
Oh no, it's way more than that.
It is literally thousands and thousands of rounds. Because
yep, you're right.
It is described as the projectiles are the size of a grain of sand.
Yeah. Dude, I knew that, and for some reason I was like, yeah, dozens is lots. The magazines are high capacity, and I just glazed right over it.
You got it right still, which is infuriating, but not for the right reason. I was like, dude, I'm gonna get him on this one. But so one thing that I do is like when I listen to other trivia is like I'm not going to be like off by like one or two. I usually try to go like if there's a number problem, try to be off by an order of magnitude. Like, hey, instead of 100, it's 1,000. You know, in this case, a couple dozen or thousands of rounds.
Yeah, you have to be able to visualize in your mind that it is clearly wrong. Because if you were like, the amount of horns on Darth Maul's head is 13, but it's actually 12, I'd be like, that's kind of a dick move.
Yeah, that's a bad spirit and not in the serious the spirit of the game. Andrew, with that, you are up 5-0. I am down at 3-2. Fantastic work. We'll have some more lore legends. I mean, this is going to cover a huge portion of our next episode. With that, huge thanks to our patrons, Mike, Isaac, and David. Guys, go over to our page on Patreon and support us if you guys like what we hear. If you guys like this, please make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube as well. We're posting the lore legend videos by themselves so that you guys are like, hey, if you want to get some more engagement on there, make sure you go through, pause it, write down what you think your answer is, track at home. You guys get to do all the questions. We only get to do half of them. We have to write half of them. So we'd love to hear how you guys are doing on your own. It's an honor system thing. So if you guys want to play along, listen to the 3 items, pick which one you think is the legend or the fiction as is normally played in 2 truths and a lie, and keep track, or even post on YouTube. Be like, hey, I'm paused. I think it's this number. Keep playing and be like, oh, was I right or wrong? Like, let us know how you're doing. You guys can have even more fun with this than we do, even though I do have a blast writing these questions, even when I forget to write the appropriate number. Guys, thank you so much. Andrew, I think you had an additional sign-off you wanted for us, so make sure to follow us on social media like the Rebel Alliance. We are everywhere. We've got friends everywhere. I think that's something along the lines of what you want.
Yeah, it's from Andor. We have friends
absolutely.
everywhere.
Ooh, speaking of Andor, we're probably going to have some merch that may or may not have an Andor symbol in them. So keep an eye on our Etsy page. I'm working on those.
New merch, baby.
Yeah, let's go.
Stickers.